Hello friends, welcome to Political Science and International Relations. In this lecture, we are going to study an important topic, caste in Indian politics. We are going to study the concept caste, then we will study the role played by caste in Indian politics. This is an important topic in Indian government and politics under paper 1 section B. You can regularly expect question from UPSC regarding role of caste in Indian politics. Students of sociology will be studying caste system in depth. They'll be studying the institution in detail. But students of political science need not study caste system in depth. But students of political science will have to associate caste with politics, caste with power, and caste with political parties in India. You have to study the dynamics of the caste system. You have to study the interplay between caste and these elements: politics, power, and political parties. So this is expected from you as a student of political science. We will first study the concept of caste, then we will study the association between caste and politics. As already told, you need not study caste system in depth, but you have to definitely study the concept and the essence of caste. Okay, now caste is a philosophy. It is an institution that is uniquely observed in India. So caste institution is unique and specific to India. You don't see an institution exactly similar to caste in other countries, even though you may see similar institutions. For example, you have the class system in West. Under Marxist parlance, class refers to a group of people who are similarly placed with respect to ownership of capital. In simple words, class system places people at different levels in society based on their wealth and economic status. This is a class system. This is found in the West. You also see the race system in West. People are attributed different characteristics based on their appearance as well as social traits, and you are able to see a system. This is called the race system. But nevertheless, the caste system is very unique. There is no other system that works like the caste system. Okay, we will see how it works. The word caste comes from the Portuguese term casta, which means pure blood. The word equivalent to caste in Indian language is jati. Jati. The word jati means being born, coming into existence. So jati, Indian language word, and caste, English word, both refer to the institution seen in India. Now, how do we look at caste? Different scholars have different view of caste. It will be interesting to note that some scholars find a cognitive element in caste. In other words, they look at caste as a rational concept. Take the example of scholar Louis Dumont. French scholar Louis Dumont. He gave the concept Homo hierarchicus. Homo hierarchicus means human beings, homo, placed in society in hierarchy, stratified society. This is called homo hierarchicus. Louis Dumont finds caste as a system having cognitive aspect or a cognitive essence. What is cognitive? You are able to find certain rational elements within caste. For example, people tend to associate themselves with other members of the caste which they belong to because they feel that they share same values. Values could be related to lifestyle, rituals, food practices, matrimonial practices, religious practices, and so on. So he holds such a view. Louis Dumont sees the caste system in the Indian society as seeing things through a binary lens. Caste is analyzed from purity and pollution aspects. Purity and pollution. Members of higher caste are seen as pure, while members of lower caste are not seen as pure. So you are able to see a ritual essence in the caste system. So this is the view of Louis Dumont. Louis Dumont tells that the Indian caste system is rigid. It is not allowing mobility. On the other hand, the Western class system allows mobility. So he is having a view which sees the Indian system as traditional and the Western system as modern. The opposite of homo hierarchicus is homo equalis. When homo hierarchicus places human beings in a societal hierarchy where certain people are placed higher and certain persons placed lower, homo equalis sees people as equals. People are provided freedom, liberty and rights, and the society seen here is based on merit. It is allowing mobility. So homo equalis seen in West, homo hierarchicus seen in India. Louis Dumont was a structuralist as well as an Indologist. He is studying the structures in the society. Naturally, he studied the caste system in this manner. Now, Louis Dumont is challenged by a very important Indian scholar, M.N. Srinivas. M.N. Srinivas, a sociologist, much studied and celebrated in India, is a structural functionalist. M.N. Srinivas is not seeing a great difference between the class system of the West and caste system in India. He tells that the caste system in India also allows for mobility. In the past, people belonging to lower caste have become members of upper caste. The kings of the past, they gave higher ritual status to lower caste. Members of tribal groups have been taken into the Varna system in the past. So this is how members of lower caste have become members of upper caste. So he is not seeing the caste system as rigid, but he is seeing the caste system as mobile. On the other hand, MNS points to the class system in the West. Class system is not always mobile. It may also be rigid. For example, in the West, you are able to see certain posts that are occupied through hereditary basis. So you are able to see a hierarchy even in the Western society. This is a view of M.N. Srinivas. He opposes Louis Dumont. M.N. Srinivas studied the Coorgs of Mysore in 1940s. He studied how different elements in the Coorg society contributed to societal solidarity. He studied how the Coorg society was able to experience solidarity by the working of different elements within the society. Why did he study in this manner? He was a structural functionalist. Structural functionalists will study different structures within a society and they will study the function performed by each structure. Now, M.N. Srinivas gave another concept called Sanskritization. Sanskritization much discussed concept in sociology. Sanskritization. We already studied about Louis Dumont. Louis Dumont highlighted the ritual purity and pollution concept, binary thinking. Now MNS tells that caste system is not always rigid, it is mobile, and members of lower caste tend to become members of upper caste through a process called Sanskritization. Sanskritization is nothing but members of lower caste trying to mimic the cultural practices, rituals and the lifestyle of the upper caste. For example, members of lower caste may stop having non-vegetarian food. They will follow the rituals of the upper caste like Brahmins. So they go for Brahmanization, right? So this is called Sanskritization. Sanskritization is observed in members of Hindu society. It is observed even in members of Christian society and Muslim society. You are able to see the essence of caste system even in Hindu society and Muslim society in India. Hindu society, Muslim society and Christian society. People, even after converting into Islam and Christianity, many of them continued to follow the caste system. So you are able to see Sanskritization in Indian society as a whole, but it is mainly seen in the Hindu society. Sanskritization is mainly observed in North India. Certain caste, they tried to go for ritual purity. For example, in North India in the past, many Shudras, they got Sanskritized and they claimed Kshatriya status. Many members of lower caste started wearing the holy thread. They mimicked the practice of the upper caste. Jatavs in UP, Jatav, they belong to Dalit community, scheduled caste community. They also have gone for Sanskritization in the past. There are many intermediate castes in North India. Today they belong to OBC. Important examples are Jats, Yadavs, Marathas, and so on. Many members of these intermediate castes have also gone for Sanskritization. MNS mentions another concept. This is called dominant caste. He earlier spoke about Sanskritization. Now he is giving a new dimension to caste. He is studying caste dynamically. MNS contributed greatly to the study of the caste system in India. That is why he is celebrated by many scholars and students of sociology. Dominant caste is a very important concept. Dominant caste does not refer to a upper caste. It is actually referring to any caste group that is wielding dominance in society. The dominant caste need not always be a higher varna. It need not be a Brahmin or a Kshatriya. The dominant caste may even be a Shudra community. But the dominant caste should exhibit certain features. These are the important features. The dominant caste should be numerically higher. In other words, population should be higher. Secondly, it should have good land ownership. Land ownership provides you power. It provides you wealth. Thirdly, the dominant caste should also have social status. If a caste exhibits these characteristics, you can consider that caste as a dominant caste. Castes like Jats, Yadavs, Marathas, and so on in North India can be considered as dominant caste. They are numerically higher compared to Brahmins. They have land ownership. They are very powerful in society. They own wealth. They also have higher social status. The Jats, for example, consider themselves equal to Brahmins. Sometimes they consider themselves even superior to the Brahmins ritually. That is seen through the social status. But the Dalits, scheduled caste, they are not seen as dominant caste in most parts of India because they may be numerically higher, they may have land ownership, but in most parts of India, they lack when it comes to social status. So this is one weakness suffered even today by Dalits throughout India. The dominant caste in South India, seen through MNS analysis, are the Reddys and Kammas in Andhra Pradesh, Velalas in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Vakaligas and Lingayats in Karnataka. These castes also exhibit the three characteristics. So this is the dominant caste phenomenon. I hope you have now understood the concept of caste. We will now study the association of caste with politics. So we now enter the realm of our subject, political science. Association of caste with politics. The French philosopher and political scientist Christophe Jaffrelot, he famously remarked, Indians don't cast their vote but vote their caste. Look at his analysis. He has studied Indian society in depth. He is telling that there is a deep nexus between caste and politics. That is why he says Indians don't cast their vote but vote their caste, which means they vote based on their caste identity. Now, why is this happening? Caste and politics are intertwined with each other due to various reasons. We will look into them one by one. One very important reason is that there is already a power dynamics within caste. Within caste system, people are located in the societal ladder at different levels. So people located in the higher levels have more access to resources, they have more wealth, they enjoy higher social status. People located in the lower levels enjoy lesser social status, they have less access to resources. They are relatively less wealthy. Now you are able to see such a power dynamics in politics also, is it not? In electoral politics, some parties wield more power, some parties wield lesser power. Some parties wield more power at the central level, some wield more power at the state level. Some parties wield more power at the regional level. So you are able to see power in both caste as well as politics. So naturally, caste and politics try to play with each other. You are able to see interplay between caste and politics. How caste is allocating resources, prestige and ritual status. Similarly, politics is also distributing resources. It is distributing power. It is distributing the societal control. Next, history of caste politics in India. History of caste politics in India has a great legacy. It started from the ancient period. The Brahmanical religion, the Vedic religion, This period saw the dominance of the top two Varnas, Brahmins and Kshatriyas. Later, Buddhist religion, this distributed the power differently. During the period of Buddha and the growth of Buddhism, power was enjoyed by Kshatriyas along with Vaishyas. A new group, social group started accumulating power in their hands. Then, if you look at the Gupta period, Vaishyas further consolidated power. So, at different points in time during the ancient period, different Varnas, they wielded power. So, this is how power got distributed and it got transferred in the hands of different social groups starting from the ancient period. Then during the British period, the British tried to appease different sections. They went for divide and rule policy. The British came up with the communal award in 1932. Gandhi was opposed to the communal award. Later a compromise was reached between Dr. Ambedkar and Gandhi. So it was seen through the Pune Pact where a compromise was reached. After independence, many political parties emerged at the national level as well as the state level. They had different caste affiliations. You are able to see different social groups dominating within those parties. The most important party was the Indian National Congress, INC. INC domination was mainly with the Brahmins. INC, Brahmins. Dravidian parties in South India, dominance largely with OBCs, other backward classes. In North India, Samajwadi Party, this is also dominated by OBCs. Parties like JDU, JDS, JDU in North India, JDS in South India, Janata Dal and its later branches, you are able to see OBC domination. Republican Party, Bahujan Samaj Party, you are able to see Dalit domination. BSP, Republican Party, VCK in South India, power is in the hands of the Dalits, the scheduled caste. So you are able to see a secular interplay between caste and politics in India. Now, caste has become a secular institution in the Indian context. Earlier it was seen as a ritual institution, it was seen as a religious institution. Now it is being seen as a secular institution because now it is in nexus with politics. You are able to see power dynamics between caste and politics. The role of caste became very strong in Indian politics, especially from the year 1989. 1989 marked the era of coalition politics in India. The National Front government was formed in this year. Later, it was followed by the United Front government. In the coalition era, many political parties, they started playing a role at the national level. These political parties were the regional parties. They were present in different states. DMK, Telugu Desam, AGP, Assam, Ghana, Parishad are examples. So these parties were basically parties present at the state level, that is regional parties, but their influence reached the national level because they entered into alliances with national parties and they became a part of the central government. Now, the regional parties were having caste affiliation. Most of these parties, DMK, Telugu Desam and so on, they were dominated by the OBCs. So indirectly you are able to see OBC domination in politics from 1990s. To be exact, it is 1989 which marked the era of coalition politics in India. We will now look into the view of different scholars regarding caste association with politics. We can divide the view of scholars into two schools of thought. The first school of thought holds a positive view of the association of caste with politics. The second school of thought looks at the association of caste and politics negatively. Scholars like Rajini Kothari, Yogendra Yadav and Christoph Jafferlet belong to the first category. Rajini Kothari, Jafferlet, French scholar, Yogendra Yadav, important scholars who appreciate the role of caste in mobilizing political opinion. The other school of thought includes scholars such as C.P. Bhamri. They look at the association of caste and politics as detrimental. The view of Rajini Kothari is very important. He has given an elaborate explanation of caste association with politics. He gives the term politicization of caste. Politicization of caste. What is politicization of caste? As the term implies, the institution caste is getting politicized. Politics is entering into the realm of caste as an institution. He actually tells that caste system in India led to political mobilization. Political mobilization has happened in India because of caste identity. So castes are nothing but different social groups. They consider themselves special compared to other groups. Now these groups started mobilizing for power. They wanted to get their hands on the resources in society. They wanted to enter electoral politics. So mobilization happened. This school of thought, the first school of thought, appreciates the political mobilization that happened in India because of the caste identity. In fact, they are looking at it as highly optimistic. Rajini Kothari tells that the absence of caste in other countries was a major weakness. Take Pakistan for example, you don't find the caste system. So in countries like Pakistan, lack of caste led to absence of political mobilization. As a result, people in different regions of the country were unable to assert their identity. They were unable to get the fruits of development. But in India, political mobilization happened. This was enabled by caste. So this concept is called politicization of caste. Many countries in the third world, they are not democracies. India is one of the few democracies. Rest are legally democracies, but in practice they could be autocracies. They could be ruled by military regimes. Many countries in Africa come in this category. They are not democracies. They are ruled by military regimes. Now these countries also don't have caste system. So Kothari points out that these countries could also have developed better. They could have imbibed the essence of democracy if they had the caste system. So caste is actually contributing to democracy. It is putting power in the hands of different sections in society. Different sections in society are able to get the fruits of democracy. They are able to get the fruits of development because of political mobilization. Christoph Jafferlet, he uses the term silent revolution to explain the political mobilization. You have to write these important key terms along with the scholars in the examination. Try to recollect as much as possible and write in the paper. This is a view of Christopher Jafferlet. Secondly, the political mobilization based on caste, it is leading to secularization. Now, caste is now becoming a secular institution. Earlier it was seen as a ritual institution. Now it is becoming secular. Caste has become secular. Why secular? Using caste identity, people are able to assert themselves. They are now claiming jobs. They are claiming reservation. They are asking the fruits of development to be distributed equally among different sections in society. So, the caste system has become secular. So, its role has to be appreciated according to these scholars. Scholars like Rajani Kothari. We will take the example of OBC politics in India. Many political parties formed alliances in India in the past, especially in North India. This explains the secularization of caste. In North India, an alliance was formed by political parties called Ajgar Alliance. Ajgar includes Ahirs, also called Yadavs, Jat, Gujar, and Rajput. These castes are important dominant caste in North India. Yadavs are important caste in UP and Bihar. Jat is an important dominant caste in Haryana and Western UP. Gujar is an important caste in states like Rajasthan. Rajput is a dominant caste in states like Rajasthan and Haryana. So the political parties went for an alliance based on caste identity. What do you understand here? Based on caste identity, they formed alliances and stood in the election. They went for power. They were able to form governments. Okay, this is an example of secularization of caste and political mobilization. Another alliance is Majgar Alliance. Majgar Alliance is nothing but Ajgar plus Muslims. This becomes Majgar Alliance. Another alliance was a Kam Alliance formed by Congress in Gujarat many decades ago. Kam includes Kshatriya, Harijans, Adivasis and Muslims. This alliance later saw a counter reaction from the right, especially Janasangh in Gujarat. But however, this alliance also succeeded to a certain extent. Now, if you look closely, Ahirs, Jat, Gujars, Rajputs, Harijans and so on, they see themselves as different societal groups. Sometimes there could be enmity, there will be discrimination, is it not? But when politics is working with caste, when politics and caste are engaging in nexus, then these adversarial societal groups, these competing social groups are now joining hands with each other. You are able to see a solidarity created through the association of caste with politics. That is why scholars like Rajani Kothari and Yogendra Yadav appreciate the association of caste with politics. The next concept under mobilization is consciousness. So Ajgar, Kam, Majgar reflects integration, solidarity, not enmity. Earlier, enmity and opposition seen within caste system has now paved way to integration and solidarity. Next is consciousness. The political mobilization of people based on caste has led to consciousness. What is consciousness? In Marxism, consciousness refers to the realization of the problems of the working class. Initially, it will be a lesser consciousness. It is called class in itself. The higher level consciousness is called class for itself. Societal revolution will happen once people go for higher level consciousness. They will reach class for itself. So based on this understanding, we can tell that the different castes are able to understand their problems. They are able to understand the weaknesses faced by them, and now they are becoming a class war itself by mobilizing themselves and trying to get power in their hands. So analysis of Rajini Kothari is very important as far as the subject is concerned. Some other scholars have also remarked about the political mobilization on caste basis. Rudolf and Rudolf. Rudolf and Rudolf mentions traditionalization of modernity and modernization of tradition. This is how Rudolf and Rudolf describes the association of caste with politics. Christopher Jafferlett used the term silent revolution. Now, why are they using these terms? Indian society is basically traditional. Caste, religion, or primordial identities. When politics enters a traditional society having primordial identities like caste, then the tradition will start playing with modernity. So politics is based on democracy, which is modern. This paves way to electoral politics, which is also modern. But these processes and concepts are actually working in a traditional society like India, where you find primordial identities like caste and religion. Primordial identities are basic identities. Man is always conscious of these identities. So when modernity enters tradition, tradition and modernity enter into a nexus. They start bargaining with each other. There is an interplay between tradition and modernity. Another important scholar is Professor Yogendra Yadav. He gives the term democratic upsurge. So these scholars belong to the first school. They appreciate the association between caste and politics. You should not forget. You are able to see three democratic upsurges in India. The second upsurge is explained by Yogendra Yadav. Democratic upsurge is nothing but the political assertion of people. Okay? The first political assertion is the first democratic upsurge. It is seen from 1950s to 1970s. After independence, Indians were given adult franchise. People were able to vote. They were able to realize the need for electoral politics. So this is the first phase, first democratic upsurge. The second democratic upsurge is seen in the 1980s. During this phase, the OBCs and SCs, also referred to as Dalits, they asserted their identity. Initially it was the OBCs, later it was the SCs and STs. Initially the OBCs started coming out of the Congress. Later the SCs started coming out of the Congress. Parties like Bahujan Samaj was formed in the 1980s. So it reflects the second democratic upsurge, BSP. SP, Samajwadi Party, was formed roughly during this period, 1980s and later, 1980s to 1990s. The starting point is 1980. So sections that were earlier less powerful now started to assert their identity. The third democratic upsurge can be traced to the 1990s. This is associated with the LPG, liberalization era. This third democratic upsurge is popularly remarked as mandir, mandal, and market. Market refers to LPG liberalization. Mandal refers to the Mandal Commission, which gave reservation for OBCs. Thirdly, Mandir politics, religious politics. These were associated with the third democratic upsurge, but third democratic upsurge is mainly associated with market, LPG. Okay. There is a concept called ethnicization. Ethnicization. Ethnicization is the association of the ethnic identity with politics so that people can assert their identity in a democracy. This is called ethnicization. Take the example of Dravidian parties like DMK and ADMK. It is an example of ethnicization. The cultural identity, Dravidian identity, is used for politics. It is used for political assertion. You may expect questions regarding democratic upsurge in the examination, either directly or indirectly. So we have studied the first school. The second school, they oppose the association of caste with politics. An important scholar is C.P. Bhamri. According to scholars like C.P. Bhamri, the association of caste and politics is not good. It may be beneficial in the short term, but it is definitely detrimental in the long term. It may lead to communalization. He sees a danger in such an association. In the long term, it will lead to fissiparous tendencies in a democracy. It may lead to division of people based on different identities, and it may further delay the integration of the country, organic integration of the country after independence. Ashutosh Varshini, another scholar, political scientist, he also opposes the association of caste with politics. According to him, caste role in politics has not led to any substantial development for the people. It may have benefited some people, but it has not benefited all the people. So this is the second school of thought. Developmental economists like Amartya Sen, they also give more importance to overall development rather than mobilization based on caste. According to Amartya Sen, welfare state is very important. Social reforms should be started before going for economic reforms. So economic reforms should be preceded by social reform. He highlights the state of Kerala, which is very good in human development indicators because it went for social reforms first. Kerala is similar to Cuba. Cuba in North America also went for welfare state policy. It gave importance to education, healthcare, and other important social development aspect. We will now briefly study OBC politics and Dalit politics. OBC is a very important social group in India. The OBCs became powerful from independence over time. How did the OBCs become powerful? Many developments and changes can be attributed to this. One important development is the Green Revolution. Another is land reforms. Another important development was the Mandalization. Mandal politics, which gave the reservation to the OBCs. These are some important developments that strengthened the OBCs in India. Right now, the OBCs are seen as the most powerful political force. Most of the chief ministers in India, they belong to OBCs. So OBCs very powerful as far as Indian politics is concerned. They belong to the dominant caste concept as analyzed by M.N. Srinivas. The important OBC groups in South India are Kammas, Velalas, Okaligas, Lingayats, Kapus, and so on. The important OBC groups in North India are Jat, Rajput, Maratha, and so on. Yadav is a very important OBC group, mainly seen in UP and Bihar. The politics of parties like Samajwadi and Congress, along with BSP, revolves around OBCs. The former CM of UP, Ms. Mayawati, she went for an alliance of Dalits and Brahmins in the past. Now it is nothing but political mobilization leading to integration between different caste groups. Even though Brahmins are relatively powerful compared to Dalits, Mayavadi consolidated Dalits and Brahmins politically. The most important Dalit group in UP is the Jatav community, the Chamar community, Chamars and Jatavs. Next is the Dalit politics. Dalit politics can be traced to leaders like Dr. Ambedkar and Kanshiram. Dalit politics is not a homogeneous brand of politics. You can classify Dalit politics into three categories: co-option, autonomy, and radical politics. What is co-option? A larger political party or group taking along with it Dalit groups. This is called co-option. Leaders like Jagjeevan Ram were earlier co-opted by the Congress. Today, leaders such as Ram Vilas Paswan, they are co-opted by groups such as BJP. Today, BJP is mainly co-opting the Dalits in India. Earlier it was the Congress. Next is autonomy. Autonomy is best represented by the brand of politics of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar wanted to work independently. He worked outside the Congress ambit. Even though the first Prime Minister Nehru invited Dr. Ambedkar to become a part of his government. So this brand of politics is very important. Kanshi Ram, the founder of Bahujan Samaj, BSP, he also comes under the autonomy brand of Dalit politics. These leaders don't get co-opted. Vidudalai Chiruthaigal Katchi, VCK, is also relatively autonomous. It is not co-opted by national parties such as Congress and the BJP. The third brand of politics is radical. They go for praxis. They go for practical action. Dalit Panthers, an example of radical Dalit group. It is inspired by the Black Panthers group in US which fought for the rights of blacks. These groups are radical in their approach. They often go for protest against the government. They demand reforms. They demand for abolition of caste discrimination in a radical manner. They want to celebrate Dalit politics as a success of revolution. Take the celebration of the Bhima Koregaon battle. This was seen as a success of the Dalits against the upper caste. The Dalits fought along with the British. So this is being celebrated. So this comes under radical Dalit politics. And there is a counter reaction to such a celebration. Many members of upper caste oppose the celebration of this ceremony. So Dalit politics today goes for assertion. Earlier, Dalits faced stigma in society, but today Dalits go for assertion. This is called Dalit assertion. The Dalits want to get the fruits of democracy. Democracy is providing them rights. The Indian constitution is providing them rights. rights are guaranteed. Reservation provides the opportunity for Dalits to rise up the socio-economic ladder. Today, the brand of Dalit politics is Dalit assertion. You are able to see many Dalit entrepreneurs today. Many members of Dalit community are very successful entrepreneurs among the members of Indian diaspora. Okay. The word Dalit is a philosophical term. The word SC is a legal term. Dalit is any person who is backward or discriminated. So, we can use the term Dalit when we study the subject, sociology, political science and so on. But legally speaking, usage of this term scheduled caste will be appropriate. In fact, there is opposition from many groups not to use the term Dalit. At the same time, if we stop using the word Dalit, then we may lose the opportunity to analyze politics substantially. As already explained, Dalit can be any person who is backward, who is oppressed, who is discriminated. So Dalits definitely need justice. The government should facilitate the Dalits so that they can better make use of the constitutional safeguards and the legal provisions to come up the socio-economic ladder. I hope this lecture was helpful to you. Thank you.